I want to make $1 million through house flipping. How many houses do you think, realistically, obviously there's exceptions, does the average house flipper in America need to do?
Having the mindset to get rich quick is great, but getting rich in real estate is...
Today, we're going to talk about the truth. Can you get rich quick in real estate? Yes or no? Omar, what do you think?
I think having the mindset to get rich quick is great, but getting rich in real estate is challenging, and it takes some time, like anything else, to do big things.
It's challenging because if you get rich too quickly, you're not going to know what to do with your money?
No, I mean, that's a good problem to have, I think.
Okay.
But the question comes down to, how do you get rich in real estate?
That's a great question. You just got to buy and sell, and you buy for a low number and you sell for more money, and then you're rich.
And you can do a few deals, but at what point do you consider that to be rich?
So I think rich is relative for each person. So let's talk about, what does rich mean? Okay, so my impression of rich is financial freedom, the ability to not get up in the morning and just sit in bed for 4 hours if I want to, or to go to the beach and work from the beach, or just to have my own time, my own schedule, and be in control of myself.
But that's different now. Are you working for money at that point, or is money just coming in?
Well, whatever I did, I got to the point where I can do that. So
Bills
to me, that's rich.
Okay. So that's more like financially free rich,
But
right?
that's what rich is. To have like $20 gazillion
Some
and
people
have to have...
So what if some people think being rich is making $600,000-700,000 a year in sales?
That could be great for them. But if they still have to go to a job every day, like to me, to make $700,000 a year, but then have to go and work for a boss and get up and be on the train at 8 o'clock and in the city at 9 o'clock and do all this stuff, that's not rich to me.
Agreed. So,
Yeah. I'm just asking you, what's
page.
rich?
Similar to what you just said. Financially free, where I don't have to work.
Okay.
And I have income coming in and I own assets.
Right. So then everybody has a different level of rich. So
Right.
you could have someone who doesn't care and they'll drink, Costco coffee versus going out and getting the Starbucks coffee, and they'll live in their RV versus someone who wants to live in their mansion. So everything is all relative depending on the level of richness.
Yeah. So I think the rich that you just described,
Okay.
I think it's difficult to do that fast.
Okay.
But it's important to have the mentality that you want to do it fast. It just takes time to get to that level.
Okay. So you can get rich quick in real estate if you do what?
If you make a lot of money initially through sales or through
sales.
flipping.
Okay. Through sales
or through flipping, yeah.
Okay. Because
If
typically...
Well, if you start by buying income-producing properties, it
Right.
takes time for that to actually add up to the point where you could have enough and live comfortably from
So
it.
like an investor going out buying properties, working on their cash flow and looking at that to make them rich.
Right.
Right. So that could take years to build a
does.
cash flow.
Yeah.
Okay. So it could take you 20 years to get to $600,000 a year.
Yeah.
Okay. Whereas if you're flipping, what happens?
I think flipping, you fall into the high income. You can make high income through flipping and sales. But to call that rich, you really have to be on top of, say, top 5% in order to make that rich. Because you can make a couple of 100,000 flipping houses doing sales, but that doesn't qualify you as being rich.
Right. Because having 300 grand in the bank does not
You're right.
usually, or most people don't think that's rich. Although there are people that, maybe grew up in a very low income household and $300,000 is rich to them. So it's all relative.
It can be, but
Okay.
it can be.
So we're going to shoot for over $1 million being rich. So in that perspective,
Yeah.
how many houses does the average house flipper have to make to flip? To projects do they have to do before they can actually generate $1 million in profit, do you think?
So you're talking net profit altogether.
Yes.
Not yearly, but just total 1 year. Save $1
I
million.
want to make $1 million through house flipping. How many houses do you think, realistically, obviously there's exceptions, does the average house flipper in America need to do?
I'm going to say 20.
20?
Yeah.
Okay.
20, but you have to net at least 50,000 each.
Okay. So
Right.
then the typical house flipper today
Yeah.
only makes 50 grand a house?
They might make more, but you'll always get stuck on one deal or two where you don't make as much as you
Okay.
anticipate. So in a great market, you might make 100, 150,000 on a flip. But when you average it out, if you can comfortably get 20 deals, 50,000 each, that's your $1 million right there. If you
Okay.
do 10 deals at 100,000, that's your $1 million.
Now, is that number, because I thought that when you're doing a house flip, like I don't know that I would flip a house and put all that work into it unless I could make at least 100 grand.
Agreed.
So is that changing now because there's so many people into house flipping that those numbers are getting tighter?
No, I just think that if you once you go for volume, it's going to be hard to find specific deals that give you 100,000, right? That's just the luck of draw a lot of
Okay.
times. So you can't always find a deal that makes you 100,000, but you might find deals that make you 50,000, and it makes sense financially.
Okay.
So if it's not a full gut renovation and you're in and out in 3 months, you can make 50 grand. That's a good deal, right? Depending on how much money you have to invest. And then in order to add up to $1 million, how do you reproduce it? You can't just sit around and wait for 6-figure deals because you'll have a lot of time in between. So what do you do in that time in between?
Then you would, I guess, sell properties.
You could. You
Yeah,
could.
get your real estate license.
Then you could do
Yeah.
some transactions. So you have to kind of pull everything together
Right.
to get to that first $1 million. And I think that's what most people do.
Okay. So let's talk about the first $1 million. How did you get to your first $1 million?
So I did it through a combination of transactional sales as a realtor, definitely flipping houses, and also refining and doing the BRRRR method.
Okay.
So it was a very unconventional path because originally I thought you could just, when you get into sales, you're like, I need to be a top producer and make $1 million a year. But I realized I just didn't want to do that.
Right.
So then you
You're
get into
hustling
flipping.
and
Yeah,
showing properties every hour and running around.
Yeah, and it's even if you make it once, I don't want to continue doing it. So what can you do to make that money and then be comfortable growing and getting into the arena that you want to? So for me, it was a combination. Even with flipping, do I want to be a flipper for life? I mean, house flipping for life? I don't. So I kind of just got into different aspects of real estate, and then refinancing and the BRRRR method was big because that allows you to start owning assets and getting money from them.
Okay. For me, it was about adding value to stuff. So I recognized early on that buying something that was a mess or had a lot of problems and adding value to it, that's what created the wealth perspective for me. And
then selling it or refinancing it?
I've done both. In the beginning, I started out with nothing. You know, I worked a job and I saved up some money and I bought my first house and I fixed that, and then I took money out of my first house to go buy my first real commercial property,
Right.
which I ended up selling for and making $1 million just off that one
That's awesome.
deal, which was a fluke. Like, that doesn't happen to everyone.
So you made your $1 million. So you
I
did
made
get
my
rich
$1 million
quick.
really early in my
right.
real estate career.
So
but
you can get rich quick.
you can get rich quick, but it was definitely not expected, and I had to think about buying and holding, because I always was told always hold property, never sell, hold. So I had to evaluate, and I was like, I bought this property, and it's giving me like $5,000 a month income.
Yeah.
Right, so that's $50,000 or $60,000 a year, minus taxes and all that stuff. When am I going to get to my $1 million? It's going to take me, 20 years to get there.
And that's $5,000 a month is a great rental property, and it's still going to take you that much time. Yeah.
Yep. So I had to weigh, and it was a struggle for me because I get emotionally attached to stuff.
Do you?
Even real estate, yeah, it's a sickness. But so I had to realize, don't get attached, and I had to sell it because when I looked at what a life-changing experience that would be for me, so I sold it. I took all that money, and then I went out and and bought more stuff. So that was like the start for me. So. Did it happen quick? I still had it. I think it took me about 2 years.
I mean, that's quick in my book.
Yeah. But that was through flipping.
Yeah.
Flipping properties, adding value. I think you can do it through sales. Sales is a great position if you're selling the right products. You can sell high value products as long as there's high commissions involved.
Right.
So as far as your buying and holding properties, what would determine whether or not you were going to buy and hold it or sell it? Because I know you have a mixture of flipping, and you've kept actually some of the properties over the course of your career.
So if I came across what you just mentioned, you make $5,000 a month. That's a great rental property. So there is a conflict. Do you sell it to make a lump sum? So most of the houses I kept were initially flips, but once you finish it, you're in it for a good price, and it's producing some cash flow. It comes down to, do you want to hold it for long-term wealth and build actual wealth, or sell it for a flip and make a 6-figure check?
Okay. So how long did it take you to get to where you really wanted to be with the amount of money you wanted to make?
I'm still getting there, but initially to convince myself that this can really be something big, it took me within 5 years of being in real estate. And then that's when I realized, wow, I did this. Okay. And then from that point on, it's like I could double, triple, and even 10x this if I just continue doing what I'm doing.
Okay.
So that's important.
5 years is a good average time frame for people.
It is, but it's a very focused 5 years.
So you busted your butt for 5 years, working day in, day out,
You know,
7 days a week.
it actually doesn't have to be that way, but you could do that and still not get anywhere in 5 years. That's just the reality of it, right? So I think learning and understanding what actually builds wealth in real estate is a big part of it. And you have to be in it to win it.
So that's great. You know, it's funny you say that. You have to be in it to win it in real estate. 8 out of 10 millionaires did so through real estate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just the tax advantages and everything just make it that much more millionaire friendly, you could say.
So it's fun to hear these stories, and we have a mastermind class that people can join and hear about our stories, how we got here. And again, we're not only are we here, but we're still working every day.
Yeah.
So we're actually building a building together, and it's the first time for either of us that we're doing this ground up construction. And the reason we got into ground up construction is because we're adding value to something. We're creating something. So in theory, we're taking a property that was worth $2 million and turning it into a property that's going to be worth $12 million, right?
Yeah.
So there's equity that we're building there. Okay. So that's another example of adding value. And I know we'd love to share that with our viewers.
Yeah.
And I think we should offer a tour to some of our viewers. What do you think?
That's a great idea. I think you and I would have benefited if we had something like that when we started. So I think that's great.
We had nobody to show us anything.
And that's part of the learning curve and why I think it takes a little bit longer. But
it's like the blind leading the blind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how should we offer this to everybody?
I think that our viewers should write in and say they'd love to see a tour of our building.
Yeah.
I know that we'll select a couple viewers and maybe we'll do like a live Instagram or something. With people, and they can actually come and see the hard work and all the chaos that's going into building this building.
I think development, as far as getting rich quick, it takes time to get there, but that's probably the best wealth builder in real estate.
Okay, so the question is, can you get rich quick in real estate? Yes or no?
I mean, you're an example of it, so the answer is yes. But I think the mindset and having the drive is important. It just takes longer than most people would anticipate.
Getting rich in real estate isn't easy, but Omar and I can show you how to get there. In our mastermind group, we'll give you experiences that we've taken 20 years to get. Comment yes below.